Okay, in this speech, I'm going to express the actual benefits and the pros and cons of raising minimum wage. So that would be the brief of this speech. I'm going out on a limb to say that most of the world's population has had a job that pays minimum wage. Here's the thing: you apply for the job and show up to the interview. Once you get the job, you show up daily and receive a pay either weekly or bi-weekly. Sad part about that, with minimum wage, you likely must choose between food, rent, gas to get to work, um, and things of that sort on a weekly basis. Most of the time, minimum wage, you can't even afford to pay or even live on your own. You must have a roommate or live with someone to actually survive. By the time you pay your bills and your rent, or pay a bill or your rent with minimum wage, your check is gone. You definitely still live paycheck to paycheck. By a raise of hands, just if you think about your bills and you think about all the bills that you have as a combination, how many can say that you can actually afford to pay all of them if you only made $10.45 an hour working 40 hours a week? The cost of actually just the cost of living has outpaced the wage of living, and that is in the past 4 years. So minimum wage is going at a very slow rate, but the cost of living is going at an accelerated rate. Should minimum wage be done away with? Should we just get rid of it? That would be a question to ask yourself. I don't think so. I think we should put a mandate, and I think as the people, as the actual laborer and actual consumer, we should have a choice more in what we make instead of letting the government just come up with a number or a figure that they feel like is beneficial to the general population. According to the Ohio Capitol, raising minimum wage to at least $15 would not only save about 4,000 lives over the next few years, but it was also create almost like the 25 billion to benefit the economy by the year 2036. Gradually increasing minimum wage over the time will help reduce suicides, homicides, infertility, infant mortality. It's just a lot of things that it will just kind of help with, and kind of help with the even poverty levels. People who are homeless, giving out food. It would just help with those areas. Low birth rates in babies also are associated with economic stress and crisis. When you can't afford to eat, when you can't afford to pay your bills, it causes stress on especially women who are in a lower place of income and can't afford to feed themselves, pay their rent, pay their bills. Sometimes they have a tendency to have lower, I would say, appetites. They don't eat as much. So, with that being said, the baby usually have lower birth rates. It even has its downfalls. So we know that some businesses will actually struggle with this. The smaller businesses, they will struggle from actually trying to pay somebody $15 an hour. But what it will lead to is them have to re-strategize, because before they start to pay an employee something that they can't even afford to live off of, they will have to just keep it small for a longer amount of time and grow into something a lot more larger before they even decide to hire. With the actual minimum wage growing over the next 15 years, it may cost up to 73,000 jobs, because employers will say they can't afford to pay the amount. And this is according to the SIOTIC analyst in 2024. Also, 89,000 less students will be likely to get their bachelor's degree or their associate's degree. Actually, a lot of people who get their associate's degree still make minimum wage. So it wouldn't be even beneficial to get that degree. And that's as of now. You don't make much more than minimum wage, even with an associate's degree. Bachelor's degree take you up a little bit, but not much more. The benefits will be driven and outweighed by the fact that 4,000 lives can be saved. We can actually begin to fight poverty with this. We can actually stop going from places to where we are being charitable and thinking about being charitable and have food pantry, and where the people who actually are making living wages, but still have to visit the food pantries at the end of the month. So what we can do is save money on trying to benefit those. Jobs spend thousands of dollars donating to those charitables, to those charities at the end of the year. So instead of putting those $1,000 into that, they can put the $1,000 into increasing the minimum wage, pay the people a sufficient amount, and they won't have to visit those charities at the end of the month. Being able to put food on your table is just something that you just don't want to have to think of at the end of the month. But deciding between bills that you have to pay or pay your rent, and you work every day, and you work at a job that is full of labor. You are tired at the end of the day. You still have to come home and, provide for your family, and still have to do things at the end of the day to be with your family. And you still can't even afford to pay those things to cover your family. It's something to think about when you think and you say no to, I don't want to raise minimum wage, or you think about how it is not beneficial to raise minimum wage. We as a people who most likely work in general labor should be and expect to have a raise yearly, a cost of living wage yearly that helps us be able to pay at least our rent and our bills and transportation back and forth to work. That's at the minimum. There may be drawbacks, but when we can save our children, we can save other lives, we can prevent poverty, and we can prevent suicide, homicide, robberies, and crime rate can go down. It might be something that we might be interested in looking at. We need to take this out of the government hands. So I want to just, just petition you guys to sign a new petition that is coming up in Ohio. I don't know if it's coming up in other states. And we want to get this signed before we actually get that put on the ballot for January. They're trying to get it put on the ballot for January so we can raise minimum wage. So I just charge you to do that and think about that. Thanks.